And we are live.
Yay!
Hey, welcome everybody to a Pod of the Seven Kingdoms live review of episode 5 of A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms in the Name of the Mother. I'm Baki Balboa.
And I'm Belok. And I hated it. I'm just going to come out right and say it now.
Yeah.
Remember when the show was good?
Beating around the bush.
Remember back when the show was good? So the two of us just spent the last 10 minutes doing like getting set up, trying not to talk about our reactions, but just looking at each other like.
Yeah.
So, Phil,
Cersei's elephant in the room.
Yeah. She really wanted those elephants. What did you think?
Oh gosh. I think that I hate to like go back to my tin pot theory, but I really think that this is an episode of TV that was 2 episodes of TV that was part of a longer season of TV.
Mm-hmm.
Or not 2 episodes, but like 2 half-hour parts of episodes that would have made a lot more sense if it was in a different order and not done this way.
Right. If they took this episode and just didn't, then it would make sense. If they just didn't do it like this. Phil, I'm getting tired. I've been trying to tell HBO how to write television since 2015. I have been on the internet. I started with Unabashed Book Snobbery, on Tumblr, on the website, and then on the website The Fundamentals, and then on the podcast, Unabashed Book Snobbery. I've been trying to tell HBO to like look up some words like cohesiveness and theme, and they just won't. Instead, they're like, here's Rafe the Red Shirt, who don't you care about this random character who's not in the books and hasn't been anywhere else in the show and hasn't ever been mentioned. Oh no, she died. Aren't you shocked? You know, they just keep doing it to me.
Yeah.
And they're like, he said, I'm sorry 3 times during the episode in 3 different contexts. Don't you get it? And I said, no, actually. I see what you tried to do, but we didn't go anywhere. We've gone nowhere. So anyway, this was certainly an episode of television on HBO Max.
Yeah. Well, so I guess obviously overall impressions, you know, I think the 2 things that really, before people are like, oh, you just like, people always find reasons to like hate these shows and like whatever. It has nothing to do with like the adaptation. It has nothing to do with any of the it's not book specific. It is as an episode of television.
Right. Yes.
It weakened the parts of this part of the story. Like for me, it weakened the Trial of Seven as like as a plot moment. Like it felt weakened as the action set piece of the whole thing. Like it felt undermined. The severity of it, the gravity of the whole thing, and it weakened the payoff of the whole episode, which obviously has nothing to do with like Dunk's time in King's Landing. Like, and I get where they were going even with the like, let's show just how bad it is out there for like the common folk, especially like people in Flea Bottom, like they're being abused by the cops. You know, it's like
a cab, all cloaks are bastards. Yes, we know.
Yeah, exactly. So I get where they were going with all of that, and I think that belonged in a different part of the show, and I think it belonged like as its own thing. Like if you want to do the origin story of how Dunk started following Sir Arlen, that to me isn't even a season 1 thing. Like
I would
Like, why
even
are we
say,
trying to answer these questions now? Like,
mhm,
the big there are already big questions on the table. Like, we
mhm.
don't really need answers as to like, oh, well, he was drunk. I guess there's a lot here that I have to now talk about, but I
Yes.
think suffice it to say that I this episode promised big things,
Mhm.
and in order to flesh out what was happening and not turn it into an episode of just action.
Oh,
Am I
uh-oh.
still there?
Did I freeze?
Am I still
Oh,
here?
hold on. Sorry.
I think you're here.
Am I still here?
I'm
I
still
see you
here.
here now. Sorry. It
Okay.
started doing some weird. I'm hoping it
All
didn't
good.
go through.
All good. So
All right. You said the episode promised big things. So
it
that's the last
promised
thing I
big
heard.
things, but in trying to not turn it into like an action, like I think they were trying to not make it an episode of just the Trial of Seven. In the interest of doing that, they tried this like the flashback, like they tried this flashback
Mhm.
as like a way to break up the episode, and to me it weakened overall the episode, because if you're looking for a way to crescendo into the action rather than it just starting, spend more time in the strategy, the planning, like
Mhm.
flesh out the characters that you haven't spent any time characterizing, like do that stuff, because the Trial of Seven is the action set, like make people care about that, and then when all of the stuff that happens, make it feel really weighty. To
Mhm.
me, it felt like everything that happened in the episode like undercut
Yeah.
the payoffs of the episode, which to me is a damn shame, because I actually did, in terms of giving credit where it's due, I actually really enjoyed how they handled the thing that happens at the end. Um,
I
I
just
just
wish.
hated,
Yeah.
that the build up to it felt like it took away from it.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. I think this is a lesson. We've had many lessons in this show, some of which have been what is good pacing. This is a good example of like bad pacing because it was blocky,
Yeah.
right? And blocky in a way that made me question like how many drafts did we write of this screenplay? You know, who edited it? Did anyone take like an English lit class in college before doing it? Like basic kind of shit that I'm like, I don't know. I think the best way to do it is you want to go through it from the beginning.
Yeah, I think we just
Yeah.
go ahead and start from the beginning.
So I don't have actually a ton of notes on this episode because at some point I put my pad down.
I really was like, I was a bit jarred by the
Yeah.
whole experience. So it was yeah, it was a bit strange. I will say, for anyone watching, the chat little bubbles will pop up in the bottom right here now, or the bottom, however, yeah, bottom right as here. So whoever has stuff to say, it'll actually pop up on screen. But
Yay.
starting at the beginning, they start actually from, we're leading into the Trial of Seven.
Right,
We
a
are
little pregame powwow,
in
yeah.
the present day, and it is Baylor essentially acting as he is now the head coach, player coach of Dunk's Trial of Seven team, and he is giving the hype speech. And this to me is where I started to kind of, because it's like when you order soup and then you're like, little thin from
Yeah,
what
a
I
little
was
thin.
expecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
It,
True.
it wasn't Baylor. Baylor has a lot more advice and a lot more to say, and a lot more strategy in the book. And this isn't to say, book good, show bad, strictly because of that, but to say,
I
I
know.
could have used like, especially given, and I know I'm like skipping ahead, but when you know the payoff of this episode is this guy's spoiler alert.
If you haven't watched the episode,
Yeah, like spoiler alert. This guy's death is the payoff of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Why not give him something like really significant at the start of the episode as like a bookend? Instead, he gets a sort of hype speech, and Lionel Baratheon is kind of like shading him while he
Well, he says be vigilant, don't die, which is if I had heard that line independently of like knowing where it was from, I'd be like, did Tyrion say that in Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
that's ripped out of Tyrion season 6, 7, 8. Be vigilant, don't die. Ha ha. I drink and I know things. I'm like, just like, absolutely give this guy. Also, I'm like more and more buying into your original premise that like it's really important for the show to have built up the 7 that are in, which I think in the 6-episode season, you could have probably done 1 per episode and it would have been fine. Like it would have been good because we get our boy Beesbury, who has the coolest mustache. Why is his mustache blonde? I want to know more about this man's mustache. And we finally get his name briefly, like I think like twice in the episode they say it, and Harding as well. And not to jump to the end, but the fucking episode's out of all fucking order. We find out they both died in.
They Tarantino'd us.
They both die in the first charge. I'm like, no, they fucking don't. That's not what happens.
Mm-mm.
Like, don't fuck with me. I remember when I know that one of them dies the following day.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And Humphrey Harding's one line aside from, oh yeah, like Arian will pay or whatever last episode, his one line this episode is
making fun of Raymond.
Making fun of Raymond and Dunk for puking.
Yeah.
He's like an asshole.
Yeah. Like this scene, it was like they took the characters they put him into like a Game of Thrones blender, and they said, zzz, make it funny, zzz, haha, they're throwing up, zzz.
Yeah,
and then they poured it out, and that's what they got. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand
because it's like the show. Even last episode. Okay, so last episode, we get Dunk getting like emotional with Steely Pate, right? He has this moment where he cries in front of Steely Pate.
Yep.
And then this episode, him and Raymond, who Raymond's just been knighted and is about to fight in a trial of 7 against 3 Kingsguard, 2 princes, and his cousin who was whooping the shit out of him not 4 episodes ago. 3
princes, right? Isn't it Daron, Maekar, and Arion?
Yeah. Daron, I mentally don't count. He says don't worry about me, and I'm like, I got it. I'm right there with you. But so he's doing all that, right? Like Raymond is coming to the realization that this is actually happening, and like obviously he's gonna be sick. And rather than we get this like emotional scene the last episode of Dunk like crying in front of Steely Pate, like feeling comfortable enough to like cry in front of Steely Pate, and it's very emotional. It was very like it was a very well done scene. And then we got the equivalent of like queer. Like,
yeah, that's exactly what there was.
There was like locker room talk. Like, what the fuck has happened? Like, what show am I? And this is where I think like maybe the whole thing comes together. Is like you said, this felt like Game of Thrones in many ways. And up until this point, I don't feel like I've been watching Game of Thrones.
No,
in a good way.
In a good way. Yeah, I don't want to watch
like
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, not a Song of Ice and Fire, not like the broader, not a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. This felt like Game of Thrones, and I did not like it.
I did not like it. My eyes did not like to see it.
Yeah,
I did not. No, I completely agree. And
a lot of violence for violence sakes. Not that I'm gonna get like weird and squeamish. Yeah, I'm not like squeamish about violence on television, but when it was happening for like no reason, I'm like, oh wait, this is the type of stuff that Game of Thrones does. Like, this is Carl fucking Tanner, and like,
remember Carl fucking Tanner? He was bad.
Did you know
he was drinking out of a skull? In case you didn't know, he was a bad guy.
He's bad.
He's very bad.
And we don't agree with that.
We don't. I think I
You heard it
think.
here.
I don't know.
You heard it here first, folks.
I might have to see him drink out of another skull before I can really
At
make a
least 2
decision.
skulls. So yeah, that the whole exchange pre-game felt very odd to me because they didn't give Baelor the shine. They didn't give Baelor the all that they did was, hey, I'm gonna like I'll deal with the Kingsguard because they can't harm me or whatever. Right. Like that was all the strategy we got. We didn't get the mention of the using the longer lances to try to knock them. We didn't get any sort of like I thought if they were gonna add anything, they would add a Baelor sort of like an actual maybe even one-on-one quiet speech with Dunk of
give him some like lines that like were, what was the Steely Pate line that ended up getting cut like about what a true knight is? Give it to Baelor. You can say that shit. That's fine.
Which I will say, confirmed by Ira Parker that line didn't make the cut. Which again, to me, where he's like, not a mistake, like just a mistake, and not the last one I'll make, like with the show or whatever. Again, every single episode that I watch is further confirmation of my own. I know it's a headcanon. I have no evidence.
I believe it. No, I think the evidence is in the way the show is cut. Is that there was more? There was definitely more.
This episode to me is like the starkest idea, like the most,
and the fact
jarring.
that I know there was more film, and this is the film they chose. Makes it worse in that way. Where I'm like, did you go to film school? Like I'm confused about the decisions. But this is an HBO thing. HBO does this to me all the time. But so they didn't do very much with Baelor. And then the other thing that really struck me about this. The shots from inside Dunk's helmet was cool. It was like a really cool idea. Totally. We are back to our grayscale. And not grayscale like the disease. We're back to like everything is gray.
It was.
And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. It was Transformers of like, I don't know who's fighting who.
Exactly.
Like, is that Optimus Prime or Megatron? I don't know.
And I have read the book very, very closely. And I could not follow who was fighting who. And if that's like, it's like normally I at least can say my eyes like to see it. My eyes saw it, but what I didn't know whether to like it or not because I couldn't really, everything was so quick. And I get that that's part of the battle bit, but like you got to find ways. Like, was there mist in this episode? Yeah, there was still mist.
There was a lot of mist. Yeah.
You got to nix the mist, man. We want to see what's going on. You got to nix the mist. We don't need it. So
it almost felt like, and maybe this is just me looking for, maybe it's confirmation bias of me just trying to figure out ways that to prove my point that it's edited. I wonder if the mist is a bit of an editing tool in that they can essentially include as much or as little of the fight as possible as like needed, and like you can just kind of exclude stuff because nobody actually there's no need for visual consistency because you can't see anything else that's happening. Like,
well, I think one thing that was really suffered from the mist being present is the reaction of the small folk.
Totally.
Because, and I mean, maybe that is what was happening. Maybe they were doing those shots on days when they didn't have the 200 extras,
Right.
And I mean, I think a big part of jousting, if you've been to a Renaissance fair, is, or medieval times, is the reaction of the crowd. And especially given Dunk's standing amongst the small folk, that was really important. And we got some small folk reaction like way towards the end, but I thought it was way too late at that point. Like it needed to be throughout.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I also think that there should have been more, because I think we talked last episode about how the small folk, there should have been more of a reaction from the small folk to Dunk getting snubbed by like the nobles. I also think there should have been more small folk reaction to Dunk is getting his ass beat. Like,
Dunk gets like his shit. Dunk would have died from these injuries. This is a world without antibiotics.
This is another, and I know we technically will have to we'll get to the actual like fighting because Dunk gets rocked in the joust. He gets and this is all like the first sequence actually to me was like,
It was
I was
pretty
like, oh shit,
beat
they're
for
just
beat. Yeah.
doing it because
Yeah.
he does get absolutely speared by a lance like in the
He
opening
gets
charge,
poked on the first pass.
and
Then
then
he's
gets
trying to get his shit together and he gets knocked off.
yeah,
And yeah, that's exactly how it happened in the book. And I was like, look at us doing it beat for beat. Love it. Thank you.
and
Continue.
then
And
we
then
were
they
in the
said,
past.
would you like a fan fiction? And I said, not this fan fiction, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then
Heated
we're
chivalry,
in the past.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe some heated chivalry.
He just starts having a dream about Lionel Baratheon.
I would have preferred it.
Yeah, I think we all would have. And then,
I will say just generally about this flashback as we can walk through it. This is where I don't have a lot of notes because I did put my notepad down and I said, I understand the problem with this innately. If they were going to bother spending this much screen time and this many lines of dialogue in the past, the only other person it should have involved was Sir Arlen. It should have been Dunk and Sir Arlen. I don't care how it is that the two come together, like whatever. You could come up with a million different ways that one saves the other or doesn't save the other, however they join, whatever. But the ultimately the point that ends up happening from this, and we could get into the weeds a bit more, is that Dunk wakes up because he hears Egg saying "get up," and Sir Arlen had told him to get up in the past, and so the memory of his mentor and the child he's menteeing collide, and he gets up, which is a beautiful little connection.
Yeah.
But it took us 20 fucking minutes to get there. And I had to live through Rafe the Red Shirt for no reason. Like, and the point of the flashback wasn't Sir Arlen.
Right.
So I'm like, and this is where I'm like, who wrote this and who edited it? And all of the hands it had to pass through to get to my screen, when it so blatantly is unrelated to the story we're telling, boggles my mind.
When we were talking about stuff for the show that like didn't make it in, because it's like, oh, they're being so like strict about their economy, like the economy of screen time, right? Like they are only using it for stuff that like really hammers home who these people are, the themes, like all this sort of stuff. This was an example where they just like, and we're good. We can do whatever we want. And it felt very odd because it just, one, it felt like a different show. I think like the idea of showing the conditions that Dunk came out of is not terrible. Like the idea of it on its face, I don't mind it being included in the show. I do mind it being included at the expense of other stuff from the story that's really important, especially when this is the episode that is the big thing. Like it is classic Game of Thrones of second to last episode of the season has the big shock, right? If that's what's going to happen in this episode, like I was like, oh, this is gonna like it's gonna end with him waking up, and the rest of the fight will be the next episode.
That's what I thought.
And
that's
honestly,
exactly what I thought.
I'd have been fine. I wouldn't have been happy about it in the sense that, like, I don't think it changes that them spending 20 minutes of a whatever 120 minute or what is this going to be 180 minutes of television by the end of it, ish. You know, maybe 200. A tenth of that being spent on this flashback feels insane to me. And it doesn't help if the episode would have ended at the end of the flashback and him waking up. I do think that the episode then continuing after that made it worse.
It's like criminal. It's actually like someone should go to jail for like at least a few days.
Because
like,
I think people are going to be like, what I can't imagine people like who don't know the story being like, wait, what the fuck is happening? Like,
yeah,
I it just, to me, it felt, the concept of what was happening in the flashback also, like, I've tried not to think that deeply about it because nothing that they present in that flashback makes any fucking sense.
And it also doesn't make any fucking difference, right? Like,
Right.
I can't even say that Rafe the Red Shirt was fridged because she dies and it leads to Dunk doing nothing. So it doesn't even like spur him into action.
Right. Well, and nothing that he's done up to this point has been spurred by a thought of her, or you know what I mean? Like if they had presented, like this reminds me of my friend or whatever.
Well,
like
I thought they were going to do the following. I thought when Dunk was beating the shit out of Arion, because that like strength and anger kind of comes like out of nowhere.
Sure.
I thought we were going to get flashes of Arion attacking Tanzel. You know, some memories of Tanzel being happy, memories of Rafe the Red Shirt, you know, like things like that, where it could be like this, like the anger of the peasant finally getting the chance to unleash it is what overcomes him.
Yeah.
And I thought they were going to justify that flashback that way.
Why?
And I was going to complain that it was in the same episode, but then they didn't. So
yeah. I thought that he was going to beat the shit out of, like, I was like, oh, okay, I can see what they're doing. They're taking fucking forever to set it up, but he's going to beat this city watchman to death.
And then he's going to do it to Arion.
And then he's going to like fight. It's going to be, and maybe not to death, but he's going to like beat the shit out of the city watchman because he's just a big kid or whatever. And he's going to beat this dude's ass in defense of a woman. And it's like flash to the present.
A woman he loves,
destroys Arion essentially for the same reason. And it's like, cool. I understand the connection between Dunk's past. I don't think it was fucking necessary. But I understand now why. Okay, you're showing there's this like instinct in him to protect the weak, and like it's what makes him Dunk. And also he grew up in this rough and tumble thing, because they talk about in the book, Dunk is having these thoughts while he's beating Arion's ass of like, Arion can absolutely defeat Sir Duncan the Tall, but he's never, he doesn't know that he's fighting Dunk of Flea Bottom.
Exactly. And, that's the whole
and that's
point.
why, that's why I thought they were doing it. And then nothing that happened in the flashback like paid off, except that he goes and follows Sir Arlen, which again, it like ends up out of order, because any of these thoughts would have made sense as a flashback during Arlen's death, during like, and I specifically mean like when he decides to follow Arlen, not the other stuff, but just like leaving King's Landing and following Arlen, like that to me. Yeah. You could have put that somewhere else, of like Dunk's under the tree and dreams about it or something like that. Putting it here is crazy. And it just, like you said, it destroys the pacing. Like it made the episode feel extremely clunky, and it weakens the payoff of the episode, which
I think you could have truly. And I think you could have tied together like what you were saying, like Arion's never fought Dunk of Flea Bottom. You could have done that with him fighting a Gold Cloak, and then Sir Arlen seeing that and being like, "You're large and strong. Would you like to come and be my squire?
I need a squire."
cut all the Rafe shit. You don't need any of that. The actor, great job. Congratulations.
Totally.
You don't need any of that shit. Completely unnecessary. Save yourself 10 minutes of screen time.
None of the criticism is leveled at the performances, because I do think
the performances are really good.
It was fine. It's just I mean,
it's the writing. It always comes down to the writing. I just don't get why it's in
this episode, or why some of it exists.
Okay, I could screen doctor it if it had to be in this episode. Dunk gets knocked out in the fight. He has memories of how he protected his friend from a Gold Cloak and like beat the shit out of this Gold Cloak. Which, by the way, you can tell that story without her having her throat slashed.
Totally.
So I would much rather the story have been she's attacked, he defends her, since Sir Arlen's like, "Come be my squire," and she can use her 2 little silver stags to go to the free cities like she wanted, and he can go be a knight. Nothing about what follows would have changed. There was no need for her to die except like, look, it's bloody and gory. And here's yet another woman of color on screen dying. Thank you, HBO. I got it. We've done it before.
Like
we've seen it. We know it's HBO. There's blood. Yeah. Oh no. But then you have a little bit of the flashback be King's Landing is shit and it's bad to be small folk.
Yeah.
But then you have more the flashback be Sir Arlen training him. And so that get up thing, like that's a good concept of an idea, right?
Totally.
Like that's a concept of a plan.
Concept.
They were like they almost got there. They had a nugget. The through line of Sir Arlen telling him something that Egg happens to be repeating, meshing, is like a really beautiful through line between those things. And I got that on screen, even in this shitty version, right? Mm-hmm. So if they had done like more or less a training montage of his years with Sir Arlen, and when Sir Arlen's training him, whenever he knocks him down, telling him to get up, and then just do it that way. And then we don't have to spend 20 minutes on it. We can spend 8 minutes on it and get back to the plot. And it has a connection and it has like a purpose.
I do want to call attention to this quote or to this question in the chat. Mm-hmm. Was Arlen constantly drunk in the flashback because he's just a drunk or because his nephew / squire had just died? This is something that really stood out to me is they've made Arlen into like a sot.
Mm-hmm.
Like even beyond, I don't even mind him being like rambunctious or, hey, hedge knight life is tough and like you drink or whatever.
Yeah.
He's literally wasted in every single scene he's in. And it's just like, he doesn't do anything coherent the whole time. And the thing that I was also missing from this flashback was a genuine interaction between, like, they did fucking House of the Dragon. They did
how Rhaenyra and Aegon don't ever talk?
Or no, well, that, but they did Rhaena running up that hill, Kate Bush, the whole time, where she's just in the veil. She's just running.
Oh my God, can someone please take the scenes of Dunk running and just put that song over it?
It's just Stranger Things. But no, that's what, like, where it's just like, oh, he's just running behind.
Mm-hmm.
Take all that time that you had him found and have them fucking speak.
Yep.
I didn't understand like why they weren't interacting. And like, if you're going to put them on screen together, like skip to the part where they actually talk.
Yeah.
I just don't, it just made no sense to me that it was like, I'm like, why is this still going on?
I have so many thoughts. So one-off character Rafe, I'm pretty sure has had more lines of dialogue than Sir Arlen of Pennytree.
Easily.
And
definitely more lines of dialogue. She's like, now she's probably close to Lionel Baratheon, if we're being honest.
Yeah. Like, who the fuck is this? Like, get her out of here.
Episode, she surpassed, I mean, she probably is like up there with Baelor and Dunk.
Yeah, really. But I couldn't tell if what they were trying to do was like have Dunk following Arlen, and like Arlen knew that Dunk was following him, and I thought they were going to do something where like Arlen was
testing
like,
you.
Yeah, like some, and then it wasn't. It was just get up, and then it cut back to the battle, and I said, "Oh, this was all fucking useless." So, and with someone in the chat said Sir Arlen was smacking the shit out of that gold cloak. Yes, he was, and the fact that he like is such a good fighter like that would make sense for why Dunk would be like, "I want to follow you and do this." I mean, like, this is maybe more of a previous episode critique. I cannot imagine that Dunk had this horrible, traumatic, formative experience of watching the friend he loves die in his arms, and it never comes up.
Yeah, he doesn't think about it. And in fact, the second thing he thinks about being after being a squire to another knight after Sir Arlen dies is a city watchman.
Ah.
If your best friend was killed by the police, would you be like, and I want to be a cop when I grow up? Like, probably not. Mm-hmm. I just don't. That was my other thing where I was just like, wait, so his like second thought is maybe I'll join a city watch when some of his most traumatic experiences were at the hands of the City Watch, and they
Mhm.
murdered his best friend growing up, like who he loved and was ready to run away to the free cities with, which in world, I'm just gonna say, I get them having silver. Silver probably is like enough to buy passage or whatever.
Yeah.
What place were they ordering tickets at? Because I was like, what is it? I was like, what even? Who's this guy? Like, I don't like. Who are they buying tickets from? Is this like the Expedia of Flea Bottom? Of like, hey, if I give you money, will you go get me some tickets? Like, I think that's what it was. Like, I think it was like supposed to be a shady guy, but they made it seem like too official, where it's like 2 tickets to the free cities, please. It's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you talking about? Which one? There are 9.
Just
and
all
some
of them.
And some of them slavery is legal. So do you want to go to that one? Or
they're going to go on like a cruise of the free cities. That's why it was so expensive. They were
the
trying
narrow
to book
sea.
passage.
Cruise of the narrow sea. Oh God.
The
Anyway,
old
sorry,
malaria.
I'm getting too worked up about this, but I just
No. I mean, I'm just checking my notes because I wrote, why are we writing on this line? She had more screen time on Arlen. And I don't know, the whole thing was the concept that Dunk on one bum leg could keep up with Sir Arlen on his horses for God knows how long running up that hill. I mean, there was just so many things that I'm like, I just don't understand why. Or like even the little scene of Sir Arlen waking up and like his knife had cut him in his sleep. Do you know how implausible that is? Like the idea, and why? Again, what are we doing?
And also
characterization wise.
And also like those sorts of wounds killed people all the time. Like it's not like oh shit, I got cut. It's like if you don't do something about this, like you're gonna fucking die.
Right.
It's gonna get infected and you're gonna
kill people now. I mean, people get sepsis now and die. Like it's not like a whoopsie doodle. I'm such a silly old man. Like I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand HBO, and I don't want to understand. I just don't understand. I want you to listen to what I'm saying. They need some nerds to read these scripts for them before they start filming this shit.
The last thing I will say on this is that they foreshadow what I thought they were foreshadowing. Or not foreshadowing. I thought they were doing like they were doing a parallel here of they set up that the fight with the City Watch happens by a pig pen that's very muddy.
Yeah.
And I thought that, okay, perfect opportunity for Dunk to tackle this guy into the mud, and it will mirror the mud of the tourney field.
Okay. Yes.
Where the Trial of 7 is happening, because it's specifically brought up about how muddy it is and how there's mud in his visor and like all this sort of stuff. And they didn't do that. They just were like, what if the decapitated head rolled by the pigs?
Do you get it? It's getting eaten by a pig. It's like a symbol, kind of, because they're the cops and they're like pigs, but they're being eaten by pigs.
Hey, actually, they kind of cooked with that.
I withdraw all my critique because that pig symbolism.
But that was the sort of thing that I'm just like, it feels like, I don't know, like this particular sequence felt so out of place that I'm like, was this part of what they went back and did when they did the delay?
They did do reshoots, right? Yeah.
Because one, tonally, it's like fucking complete 180. Like it's just a different television show.
Where is my whimsy?
It's not even like where's the whimsy. It's just like I feel like I'm back in 2012. Like why am I watching this? The thing for me about like amidst all of the whatever it was like hyper violence, it's like, did they feel like in this episode you needed to add action when this is the action? Like you cut a bunch of jousting that we could have had the rest of the season so that we could have this alley fight when I want to see the fight that's happening in the present day. Like there's a fight happening now that's quite important.
So it's got a little importance. Kind of
and
things
Dunk
happen.
just playing like such a minor role in the whole thing, like where he bites the guy.
Yeah.
Before Arlen like
the other thing
I don't know. It just it felt insignificant. Even the whatever. Arlen dispatches them quite quickly, but it's not made obvious that like, oh shit, Arlen is like also really good, and maybe that'll translate to Dunk being tough or resilient or whatever. Like there just was it just
if you had to have in a universe in which you had to have this, let's join me in this hypothetical land.
Yeah.
If the show was done completely differently, you could have done a parallel where when Dunk was young, he couldn't save his friend who was a girl who he loved. And then as an adult, his new love interest was attacked. And that is why he responded so fiercely. If you wanted, and then you could have used those things in his fierce attack of Arion, right? Like you could have, if you wanted to. You don't have to do that because Dunk doesn't need a personal reason. I actually think it kind of undercuts Dunk as a character. He doesn't need a personal traumatic backstory to want to protect Tanzel.
Right.
He just knows what's happening to Tanzel is wrong, and he's going to take action because he can.
Yeah.
Like there doesn't need to have a tragic backstory that's similar. He just is a good person.
Yeah.
So
it's like I know a dead girl, which is why I'm interested in protecting this particular girl. Right. Like that's like
I couldn't protect the last one, but I can protect this one. It's like, okay. But but we don't need any of that. And it certainly doesn't work. That's like really like pulling out threads from this. Like that's not what they did in this show.
Right. One, I think to your point, it would have strengthened it if he were like recounting it to Egg or something before the Arion stuff.
Right.
Like, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense as a motivation now, like retroactively. Yeah. I just really like, man, the flashback really did suffer from a lot, in my opinion. I think and the problem was that when it got back to, I kind of was like at a point where I was like, I am waiting for this to end.
Yeah.
Like I'm not really taking it in anymore. I'm just waiting for it to be over.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was kind of rooting for the episode to end with Arlen saying "get up," and much
or
to my
something
chagrin,
within the flashback. Yeah.
And much to my chagrin, the episode continued.
And yet it persisted. Can I say one more thing about Rafe? I keep calling the reason I'm calling her Red Shirt Rafe, in case people don't know what a red shirt is. In old school Star Trek, the joke was that like whenever a team would go down to a planet, it'd be like Kirk and Spock and McCoy and this unnamed guy in a red shirt.
The new random guy.
Yeah, who always died? That guy, right?
Yeah.
Whenever I think I think as a universal rule, 99 times out of 100, if you are writing a character who is going to die in the same episode, you need to sit down and really think about whether you should be doing that.
Sure.
And you should be thinking about, should that character exist? Should they die at all? Should they die in that episode? Why are you giving me a red shirt character that is really only here for the purpose of their death?
To die,
And what implications does that or does that not have? Sometimes it's fine. Sometimes like beginning of House of the Dragon, for example, in season 1, because the pacing was moving so quickly through time, we had several examples of characters introduced and killed in the same episode, right?
Sure.
That there was like 3 or 4 of them. And even then I was kind of like, some of these but I just think that generally in stories, whether you're particularly in like episodic television, like introducing a character and having them killed in the same episode is very like Monster of the Week, Supernatural, X-Files, like that's kind of the kind of vibe where it's like, Star Trek, the shows where we expect that to happen because the main plot is kind of thin and we're really here for like the monster of the week sort of situation.
Yeah.
So in this kind of television show, I think it's really hard to justify this episode was about 40 minutes, in like a 40-minute episode of television, 35, 40 minutes, to introduce a character, attempts to characterize her, and kill her all at once. What intern did that? I'd like that intern to step to the front.
Well, and it almost led to, like, the clunkiness of the flashback is almost because they were relying on the emotional weight of Rafe dying as like a shock thing. They had to spend time with her. Like, then you have to spend time with her, where if you just don't kill her, you don't have to spend as much time. Like, you don't have to try to build all of this. Like, you can spend these you could do little vignettes of them trying to get out of town, and they can, and they're trying to make a better life, and they can, and they got to steal shit to like get by, and they're getting abused by the cops, and then they roughed her up or whatever. And that's what he thinks about. And he beat up the cop, and Arlen was like, holy shit, did you see that guy? Like, that kid was thick as a castle wall or whatever. And so, yeah, the whole, like, the flashback ends up basically, like, you have to reverse engineer now, like, how do we make people care about this? And I think the tough part about it is, like, the question didn't get asked of, like, do we need to do this?
Right. Why are we here?
And like the tougher thing is, like, it feels almost like they got down the rabbit hole of like, oh, let's like spend some time in Dunk's backstory. And then by the time they were like, how do we make anyone give a shit about any of this? They were like, well, girl's got to die. And now we can't cut anything else from this sequence. It has to be 25 minutes long.
Yeah. Yeah. The longest 25 minutes of my life.
Yeah. Well, and dropping it in the middle of the climax of the fucking story is just like insane. Like,
they were walking past the script and they had it in their hands and they tripped and they fell, whoa, and it fell into this episode, and they said, oh no, it's like
if I'm on page like 750 of the Count of Monte Cristo, right? And he's about to deliver the most devastating revenge to the people who have wronged him and locked him in the Chateau d'If. And you drop a flashback about one time on a ship where he met somebody that he kind of liked. It's like, I'm going back in time to fight Alexander Dumas. Like, that's what's happening. Yeah. So I just don't understand why they were like, hey, when would be a good time for us to do this, like, this exposition in the middle of the climax of the whole fucking story.
Do you know, during the week, I actually thought that this might happen because I was thinking about one does. I was sitting around thinking about it, and I was like, "This," because I saw stills of like them on the beach, like with the horse,
and I'm like,
thing.
What the fuck is this?
I was like, oh, they're gonna cut in between, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, if they cut between the two, and if the fleeting thought went through my mind where I was like, certainly they won't just do half the episode as a flashback. And then that's what they fucking did.
Oh god, it's just like.
But you know what would have been useful of that 25 minutes? If that 25 minutes had been 15 and it had been used exclusively on Sir Arlen.
Totally.
If it had been Sir Arlen getting to Flea Bottom, Sir Arlen discovering Dunk, Sir Arlen taking Dunk, and then various training montages. You know why that would have been emotionally resonant? Because we know he's dead.
Right.
And so this is like Dunk's dad.
Right.
So like this would have been like flashbacks of Dunk's dead dad teaching him how to be strong and when to be strong and who to protect. Like we could have done in half as much time could have been so much better.
And Dunk's dead dad, who he was burying in the first scene of the first episode. Like it's just like, you don't have to add, like, and this is, I know this, people will probably be like, oh, like, this is just like book snob shit of like, you think the story's so great that you can't, like, you just can't handle like anything being added. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't mind stuff being added. Just when they've taken out stuff that it's like you could have done the same exact thing without adding 25 like extraneous minutes to the story where everybody's like, well, what are we even going to talk about? And it's like, okay, well, you've already cut a bunch of stuff that you could have spent all this time talking about. Like we could have characterized Humphrey Harding. Like Humphrey Harding, we'll get there, but we could have characterized Harding and Beesbury, like characterize the Humphreys in a single scene. So that's the thing, is like 25 minutes spent on this should have been like a gigantic payoff. Because in this episode, you have the payoff of the whole story. Like episode 6, like now that we know how the season is structured, episode 5 is the climax, and episode 6 is now going to be the denouement, right? Yeah. Like it is the falling action. It is going to be wrap up, epilogue, whatever. Knowing that, how are you going to insert something into this episode that isn't just the biggest fucking, like, if you're going to put it right before what you know is the climax of the story, it's just, it has to have a point, and it just didn't. Like, it just didn't. Yeah, which again convinces me that this was a chunk that the showrunner and like editors or whoever felt was like desperately needed, that was part of a different episode of television. Yeah. Like it just wasn't, when they filmed this whole thing, I just refuse to believe that this is how they thought they would include it. And I refuse to believe that they think that it was going to be this percentage of an episode when it first was cut. Like, I think if it's 20 minutes of a hour and a half episode of TV, I feel like it gets watered down, right? But like when it's 20 minutes of a 40-minute episode,
or even if it was split up into 2 or 3 chunks during an episode, or during over 2 episodes or something like that. If this had also, like I said before, if this had been before Tanzel was attacked, it would have, at least I would have been able to draw some cohesion out of it. But like, post Tanzel, and without it being used during Dunk, shielding Arian, why were we here? And last episode, they did such a beautiful thing when he visited the puppeteer's tent, and the way they used Tanzel's voice and the flashes of his memory was gorgeous. Just do that while he's beating the shit out of Arian. I can't tell what's happening anyway because everything's fucking gray. So like, give me some flashes to like show me what he's putting together in his brain. That, like, I'll give an example from a video. Have you played The Last of Us 2?
Yeah.
Okay. So, minor spoilers for The Last of Us 2, I guess. I don't know. It's a game that came out a million years ago, and it's not particularly good. The Last of Us 2 is a game that desperately wants to be deep, but it struggled with like the script. At the very end, one of the main characters is fighting for her life, and the 2 left fingers on her hand get cut off.
Yeah.
And one of the connections she had with her father figure character was he taught her how to play guitar. The fingers on your left hand are very important for playing guitar, from at least Naughty Dog's point of view, though I don't like what they're saying in there. So her fingers get cut off, and there's a flash of her thinking about her father figure playing guitar. And then it flashes back to present, and she stops fighting the person and doesn't kill them and lets them go. And there's clearly a connection there, right? Like, she's thinking like about the fact that her guitar fingers were taken, and she's like lost that connection. Like that's the connection that's there.
Sure.
It's fucking stupid because plenty of people play guitar without all their fingers, and apparently nobody told that to Neil Druckmann, but whatever. So, but it's like stuff like that where it's like you can use a second of screen time to make that kind of connection for your viewer. It's very easy to do that in a visual medium. You literally show it. And that's what the kind of thing I was expecting, given what these writers have done in previous episodes. And the fact that they've done this in previous episodes, and they've used, I mean, remember in episode 1, we were all excited about the little flashbacks they were using of Dunk remembering things about Sir Arlen and stuff.
Right.
And that just kind of fell off over time. And it should have been, if it was going to be flashbacks in this episode to break up the fighting and the jousting a little bit, I wouldn't have been against that, but it should have been about Sir Arlen and about the meaning of knighthood.
Totally. And that's just the yeah. I think there's like something that people would probably point to, like, oh, Arlen intervenes like when he didn't have to, like when Dunk is getting attacked by the City Watch or whatever.
Yeah, but he intervenes too late. The girl's already dead.
Right. And like he's drunk as shit. He's like puking. It's just like the whole thing is just like the vibe is so different. It's not like he is like happens upon something unjust happening and like intervenes. He stumbles out of this whatever pot shop or whatever the fuck he's in. And happens to intervene.
And murders 2 people in the process.
And kills 2 people. Yeah.
Like straight up murders them.
Yeah. So the whole thing, like, it's just tough. Like, I think some of the decisions that have been made this season, I think it's the reason I'm like so worked up about it is because like, is that whole idea of, oh, well, they've cut some stuff, but like, it's probably, it seems like they are doing a good job of like, they are building to something cohesive. Like they're doing all this stuff for like a very good reason. And this episode, that all sort of like came apart for me where I'm like, well, shit, if this is what they were planning on spending all this time on, then like, why the fuck did everything else how did this make it in ahead of like any of the other stuff we wanted to do?
Yeah.
And if they were concerned about like the amount of action and stuff, like it takes place at a tournament. Do more jousting.
More jousting.
Yeah.
People love
like
people go to medieval times and watch jousting for 2 fucking hours. Just do more fucking jousting.
So anyways, like that's why I think this is like hitting harder for me. It's just it's almost like I'm now retroactively like why was it structured this way? And for this episode in particular, I think like for the 2 sort of like emotional high points of this story are Dunk winning, right? Like that's like emotional high point number 1 is Dunk is getting his ass beat and then wins because he has some like street smarts and is able to overcome adversity and just is like despite not being the best trained, the best equipped, the best, all of this stuff, like he is able to overcome that through sheer force of will, plus he's a big old boy. And then Baylor's death, like those are the 2 emotional high points, and like they added a climax in this episode that happens before the 2 emotional high points, and it was like, and it made it feel very weird because I'm like, it doesn't need any of, you don't need an emotional high point. We're about to get one.
Right.
And I think the shame of this is that neither felt as good as they would have had none of this happened.
Yes, I completely agree. Yeah. I think one thing that TV adaptation people need to learn is that, particularly with Martin's work, George R. R. Martin is an exceptional writer. He is like a writer, like in a zenith beyond the vast majority of writers.
Yeah.
You do not need to change things or add things. You're not going to improve it. All you need to do is adapt it to screen.
Right.
All of our favorite episodes and stuff have been us being like, wow, that was ripped directly from the page. We love it.
They really did the book.
They really did the book because you already have the content. You're not going to improve this content. The content is already very good, like if not excellent. So, I mean, there's been a handful of changes they've done. Game of Thrones aged up all the kids. Good decision. Totally. House of the Dragon change, with Rhaenyra and what's her name? Like Allison. They being the same age, good decision. But like overwhelmingly, the adaptational decisions made to screen from the A Song of Ice and Fire books that change things are poor.
Right.
So
yeah, it's like changing stuff because visually you can't convey something, right? Like that is those are like the understandable changes. But
right.
when
Dunk talking to his horses. Right,
totally,
because we're not in his thoughts, but we can hear him
like,
talk to a horse.
how do I create interiority of a person that people can only see and can't see into his mind? But the changes that wholesale like just add stuff because it's like, oh, there's not enough going on here. It's like, no, there is plenty going on. Like, you don't have to change that, like the character dynamics or the emotional beats, like all that sort of stuff. That is the thing I think that maybe George has like the best handle on, right? Is like how to really hammer when something is supposed to feel good or feel bad, you're gonna feel it.
Yep.
Right? Like that's the, like, you are gonna really hit the emotional highs like in his writing.
Yeah,
And
I
that
mean,
was just that was just what was tough about this, is it's like we added something that was meant to be an emotional high, and it was distracting ultimately from the actual emotional highs that they didn't have to do anything to hit, like aside from just like put them on,
putting
like,
it on screen. Yeah,
show me.
show it, put it on. I feel like this flashback with Rafe was somebody on the team saying, but why did Dunk want to save Tansel? What's his motivation for wanting to save Tansel? Missing completely, like, because he is good. Because
When it
he is
makes
good
the
and protecting whoever. It doesn't even really matter that he knew her. Like the fact that he knew her like adds to it. But he would have, if Egg had come to him about anyone being attacked like that, he would have done the same thing.
right.
So,
and it makes the elimination of the who am I to them, you were a knight who remembered his vows. It makes it worse because like the whole thing is that Dunk is like, why did they like me? I didn't do anything or whatever. Like, I just did what what anyone would.
There needed to be more crowd work. There needed to be more. That's like what really hurts me, is that the small folk, ironically, forgotten yet again, like,
marginalized. Well, and in the interest of telling a small folk story, they undermined the small folk also.
Damn it! How did they do it? How do you do
somehow,
it? Every time. So you want to talk about the actual fight now? So we come back from the flashback, and we're in the fight, and he gets up. And I was getting very nitpicky while watching this. And I'm just trying to remember. I got annoyed because there was like a lot of outside interference between Dunk and Arion, and I don't recall that from the text.
Well, so what I think was not made clear about the Trial of Seven is the fact that if Dunk dies, it's over. Or if Arion dies, it's over.
Right.
So a lot of what the strategy of the other guys on Dunk's team is keep everybody else away from Dunk.
Right.
Like, keep everybody busy, because if they gang up on Dunk and kill him, it's over.
And we lose,
And we lose. So, like, so
we lose the Super Bowl. We can't lose the Super Bowl.
Right. He is the golden snitch. Like, you have to, like,
so Dunk, the golden snitch.
None of this Quidditch shit matters. Like, if they kill the golden snitch, like, then it's over. It doesn't matter how many bangers you hit through the womp holes or whatever the fuck. I'm just saying British terms now. That's Quidditch to me. But so like, that wasn't made clear, where it's like all of the outside interference, anytime that someone like gets at Dunk who is not Arion, it's like, this is potentially game ending, right? Like, and so I agree, because it felt like, is anybody like, is there other fighting occurring? Like, I assume that there is. There was also a point where Arion, and this is again a little nitpicky, there was a point where Arion is literally standing next to two of the Kingsguard, and they just like don't do anything. And I was like, oh, are they going to make a thing of the reason that they're not intervening is because they think that Dunk is a good night, and they had that interaction or whatever,
Oh.
and they're not getting involved. Like they're letting him fight Arion one-on-one because they
Oh, that could have been
don't
really
agree with
cool.
Arion's point or whatever. That wasn't made clear, and it almost felt like clunky and slightly like, are they just like straight up ignoring their whole job?
Do you remember the fight sequence at the Tower of Joy in the bad show Game of Thrones?
Oh,
And
I think about it at like 3 times a day.
it haunts you.
Arthur Dane with 2 swords really just I go to sleep with that on my brain, and also the Kingsguard armor being fucking dog shit. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. There's so much that I think about.
That's the same kind of thing. That battle had the same issue where, like, if you actually watched it, you could see when people were like choreographed to wait.
Yeah,
and so it did have that. I didn't notice that in this one, but I trust you.
The big gripe though that I had about this was not necessarily like, wasn't even all of that. It was just that they've used slow motion a lot in this series. And rather than do that and have it be sort of the like Dunk reacting to each of the, because in the book, like Dunk he literally gets lanced, knocked off his horse, gets up, and then it dodges Arion's like Morning Star, or maybe gets hit one more time. But anyways, like he gets hit like one more time, and then he like tackles Arion, beats the shit out of him, fight over, right? And I understand that can't be the show. Like there's got to be more. What they did was like they added a bunch of wounds to both characters where I'm like, hey, so Dunk just like, in addition to Dunk getting stabbed like 11 times, he gets the jab in the eye.
Yeah, unclear.
Which again, I thought that I really thought that they were going to do a thing. And again, maybe it's just me getting ahead of the show and assuming too much or whatever. I thought that they were going to do a whole thing because in the book, Dunk thinks about the fact that when Arion hits him with the Morning Star, he thinks he caved my head in. I'm dead, right? Which obviously becomes relevant very soon. So I thought they were going to do something visually where his helm would be like visibly dented. And that's why he takes it off. And it turns out he's okay or whatever. To show that like, oh no, like just because you got your helm caved in, it doesn't mean
anything bad's happened.
Yeah, it doesn't mean like you're so I thought they were going to do something with that. He gets stabbed like 25 times, and then he slashes Arion's femoral artery.
Right, on his leg, right? That's the really bad one that kills you right away. This is why PSA to everyone. This is why you should never carry scissors in your pocket, because if you bend over, the scissors will stab you in your femoral artery and you will bleed out within like a minute. There was a murder case on a boat that they couldn't figure out for the longest time because there was a guy alone in a boat who died from a stab wound, and they figured out it was because he stabbed himself with fucking scissors in his pocket.
That's
so
crazy.
Don't carry scissors in your pocket and don't run with them. PSA.
The more you know.
So
that's
one brain cell. I
was like, he deliberately like puts his sword to the inside of his thigh and then drags across or whatever. And I'm like, oh, so we're like killing Arion.
I thought that also was like him cutting his dick or something like that. Was that supposed to be like a dick thing?
There was something there, and then was there something also with all of a sudden Arion's like maybe was missing fingers or had a damaged hand, but like,
and that's when I
was confused about that also because Dunk obviously had a damaged hand because they decided to have him grab the dagger and then get stabbed through the hand.
And then it goes through, and we don't have surgery in this universe, so he would have like a lame hand after that. Like he would no longer be able to use that hand.
Right.
That hand would be done. And then after the crotch slash, did you hear Makar, my boy, Arion?
Yeah.
What?
Sir.
What?
Yeah.
The character assassination of Makar. What? He's not like super concerned about what? This is not Father of the Year. He's annoyed at all of his sons.
Right.
Like,
and he has been annoyed. And he's been on screen being annoyed. a
Right.
lot.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just like, I didn't, chat said, I genuinely thought the writers decided to kill Arion off. Yeah. I
It
mean, they
did.
could have.
It did appear. I thought that they were going to have Dunk kill him.
Mhm.
So what happens too is Dunk, from his like 75 stab wounds, he heals over.
Yeah.
For like a long time.
Yeah. He takes a little nap. He says, I need a little dunk nap right now.
This, I think
Mhm.
they could have done something like this if they had used slow motion to do the rest of the fight. Because like they could have lengthened the they could have lengthened like after he gets unhorsed, right? If they don't cut to a 25-minute flashback.
Imagine a world where we don't cut to a 25-minute flashback.
They do because the other thing that they did was they decided to do, and I'm really still grappling about whether or not, like, because I think that they shouldn't have. They decided to do the Saving Private Ryan, like, ringing in the ears thing of like everything's muffled, nobody can, like, Dunk doesn't, he's like not really with it, whatever. I get that because Dunk is definitely concussed as all hell, right?
Yeah.
Like he is probably loopy.
Mhm.
The thing that the show did though is that we spent the time in Dunk's POV, but then we spent a bunch of time not in Dunk's POV, right?
Mhm.
Why are we getting the ear ringing when I'm not seeing it? Like, this is not, I'm not in Dunk's head. Like, we're watching it. I don't, and the thing that really struck me as odd is that they muted the dialogue. So to me, when Arion said, like, I withdraw my accusation, if I didn't have subtitles on, I would not have known that that's what he said.
I was thinking the same thing. I literally was like, thank God I have the subtitles.
like
Like,
for anyone watching that being like, and so he pushes him over, whatever, and it's over, and they blow the horn. I think for most people, if they weren't watching with subtitles, they'd be like, did something happen?
Yeah. Is he dead? What? Yeah, and especially like you pointed out, they didn't establish how you win the trial of 7.
Right.
They didn't establish that, like, there's either a yield or a death.
Right. Like either the claimant, and it's not specifically tied to anybody on any side aside from the claimant, like the claimant and the defendant. Like those are the only two people that actually matter. Anybody, any number of other people can die or yield or whatever, and it doesn't matter. Like it has no bearing except for the two people like at the heart of it. So yeah, Arion has to withdraw his claim because he's yielding the fight.
Right.
Or Dunk has to kill him, or he has to kill Dunk. Like those are the options. Well, and I say he, but
I guess Dunk could technically
somebody's got to kill one of them, right? Like that's the
I do think also that they missed a real opportunity here in terms of ways to shoot it, to like I know I keep joking about medieval times, but truly people love that shit. I think some shots from the stands.
Totally.
We got shots like in the fight, fantastic, cool. We got shots like of Egg watching the fight, but we didn't get any shots of like the audience watching. Like even some shots from like the small folk looking out over it. You could have like the small folk in the front, and then like the way the joust is happening, the way these, you know, pairs or groups or whatever are fighting each other. Like show it to me. You're clearly doing it. Like you're filming it.
Right.
You know, show it from the point of view. You're doing Dunk's point of view, which is cool.
Yeah.
Do the crowd's point of view. And then, you know, when the small folks start cheering, that can be more impactful because we've been seeing it from their point of view. It would actually be really cool to do the different point of views from the small folk on the ground level and the you know, the fancy folk up here, and the different things they're able to see it. Like maybe the small folk actually get to see more. Maybe like shots from the small folk of the Kingsguard, you know, not helping Arion.
Yeah.
You know, that stuff like they could see the internal politics of what's happening on the field in a way that the upper class can't.
I also think it's kind of crazy to not include, like, not not to say that they should show what happened to Baylor, right? Because I think leaving it ambiguous is the more interesting option, right? Like,
well,
I
Baylor doesn't believe in my theory. Baylor believes that his brother did it.
well, yeah, but Baylor showing any of them fighting at any point, because Dunk, like, for all of Dunk getting his bell rung and being preoccupied with Arion, he does notice some stuff.
He does absolutely.
And so
that's
whether you use it as Dunk's POV or somebody else, I think it's nuts that they didn't show, like, more clearly what you said, the Kingsguard, like, actively not fighting Baylor, like, actively avoiding Baylor, and then Baylor and Makar sparring. Like, like, don't show the you know, the one or whatever, but show that they are fighting. The whole point of this, like, and this is the thing to me where it's like, if you're gonna change stuff, right? Like, if we're gonna take different points of view, we're gonna be able to tell different stories, whatever. Yes, we're primarily in Dunk's head, but like, the whole beauty of this TV show is that you can show whatever you want.
right.
And I think being in Dunk's head briefly, to me, it was like, oh, they're establishing that, like, they're not going to spend the entire fight in his point of view, because they go from his point of view and then he gets lanced, and they're now suddenly we are not in his point of view. It is now third person. So I was like, oh, okay, like, maybe they'll bounce around now, but then it's like, nope, we're impacted by Dunk's hearing. We're impacted by Dunk's consciousness. We're impacted by Dunk's, like, there's just all of this stuff where I'm like, but you did a first person point of view that you're not using anymore. So, like,
right. And the show
can't you just
keep,
it hasn't, it's not been told from a strictly first person point of vue.
Exactly. The show has strayed from his point. I mean, we got extra scenes of Egg training on his own, and we got plenty of stuff throughout the show this has not been married to wherever Dunk is. And I am not a person who's like, give me more action in a show, because, like, action's, that's just not my thing. It's not for me, which is fine. But if you're gonna do a big action set piece, this is it. And that 25 minutes that we spent in Flea Bottom could have been used to, like, watch the trial of Seven. Like, this is cool. What's happening here is, like, a cool thing. And, like, you spend all this time characterizing Lionel Baratheon, and I think we see him, like, for, like, a flash and he's, like, the one you can identify who he is because of the fucking antlers, right? Like, we don't get anything of the Fossaways fighting each other. That's, like, you know, really important to Westerosi history. And
we didn't even get the comedy beat of Daron flopping and then getting stepped on by his own horse.
Yeah, like, just, that would be so funny. Like, if they showed the joust and, like, the small folks see that Daron, like, maybe does the first pass, doesn't get hit, and then just goes, whoa, you know, like a soccer player down on the ground. Like, that kind of stuff would have been really good. And, like, I get it's a lot to choreograph.
Totally.
But I think your idea about it being slow-mo would have really helped, because those things would have been on screen longer.
Yeah.
And instead of, like, a horse flashing by and I'm not quite sure who that was, I get, like, a nice slow-mo shot of the horse cantering, and I get to see, like, the stuff on it. Was barding? I forget what it's called. The tapestry.
Yeah. I think that's right.
I think it's barding. I could be wrong. Chat, tell me if you guys know. There's just so many things it could have been, and I'm sad that it wasn't those things.
Yeah.
And in the book, was it Arion who had the thematically significant helmet, or was it Baylor that had the thematically significant helmet?
Well, they both sort of do.
Because doesn't Dunk knock the dragons off of Arion's helmet or some such thing?
Yeah, he has his, like, orange, red, and yellow dragons on the crest of his helm.
Yeah. And there's this great shot here. I'm going to hold it up. Why did we not get this?
I know.
I want Dunk holding him up, because Dunk is supposed to be, like, really big. And this is not a knightly thing to do, like, pick up your foe by their fucking neck and shake them. But that's the kind of shit Dunk of Flea Bottom does. And I wanted to see it.
And Arion is, like, taunting him at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is like, he's beating him. And Dunk is like, shit, I can't even get to my sword. I'm like, he is better than me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all this stuff. And Arion's being a real asshole. Like, where he's like yelling shit at him as he's like swinging his Morningstar at him. And they went for like gritty.
Yeah.
But not like gritty realism. They went for like gritty Game of Thrones. Like they went for like, it's going to be brutal for the sake of it, rather than like brutal for the sake of telling like a compelling story or making a compelling scene. Because I think the thing that really, you know, above all else, just really annoyed me was the amount of wounds that both of them like take in the sword fight. Because I was just like, the sword fight isn't even in it, right? Like there is no sword fight. They don't sword fight. And it was a way to like lengthen the scene, but I'm like, visually there's other stuff, like there's other stuff happening. Like you don't have to make Dunk and Arion's fight longer. Just have them see other stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it was like, oh well, we gotta like stretch this out and make it more of a significant fight scene. It's like, no, just like have them notice other things. And like you're clearly making the, like there's the use of slow-mo, the use of flashback, like there's just all kinds of stuff you can do. They just unfortunately, to me, chose the least interesting one, which is like, what if Dunk and Arion just like did more harm to each other?
Yeah, what if they just did more fighting? Like we don't like, and this is part of the problem of what I think one of like the best points you've made about this show, which is like they didn't go into who these other people are enough.
Right.
You
Where
know?
it's like, oh well, we can't show Humphrey Harding died because who gives a fuck? Like
we're too busy showing
like,
Rafe, like
right. Or we can't show Humphrey Harding be grievously wounded because he dies the next day. We can't show Humphrey Beesbury die because no one knows who the fuck he is. They literally said Beesbury for the first time
in the episode.
Which Baylor,
you can't introduce him in the episode that thank you, Baylor. Say his name.
But they had to because they're like, oh shit, wait, he dies in this one, so we need to establish that there is a Beesbury here, so that when we say Beesbury died, someone will be like, oh yeah, I think Baylor said Beesbury earlier.
Right. I had an idea. Because I was saying I really liked this you know, Egg saying "Get up, sir," and the idea that Dunk had this memory of Sir Arlen saying "Get up." Now, but Sir Arlen said "Get up, boy." How absolutely devastating would it have been if, scratch the Rafe shit, you have flashbacks of Sir Arlen saying, you know, "Get up, boy, whatever," and then when Egg says "Get up, sir," we flash back to Dunk when Sir Arlen is dying and can't get up. And Dunk is saying to Sir Arlen, "Get up, sir." And he won't. And then he dies. And that's what sparks Dunk to get up.
And then
I should work for this fucking show. What?
Well, and it's funny because they do end up kind of trying to do that, because then he does it with Baylor. At the end of the episode.
He says, what does he say though? "Get up." He doesn't say "Get up, sir."
"Your Grace," sir.
"Your Grace."
I'm assuming.
He must say "Your Grace." They also changed the dialogue a bit at the end there with because he says "I'm your man," but then he says "I'm sorry." They pulled through that "I'm sorry" thing, which I think was
Yeah. They had him react differently, like when Baylor collapses.
Oh, he says "up." He doesn't say "Get up." He just says "up."
Just says "up."
Yeah.
Oh, and this is the thing. You don't have to change it. This is why, again, you don't have to change shit. This is it. He said "up to thunder."
Yes. Not in the show, but yes.
In the book, when Thunder hesitates at the beginning of he starts yelling "up" to Thunder. So it's like an instinctual thing. When Baylor falls over, he just says "up," which is not not anything.
Yeah.
He said it to his fucking horse.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just it's this like reaction. He doesn't know what to do. So anyways, God damn
There's
it.
so many
Like,
ways.
you just
There's
don't
so
have
many
to,
ways.
you just don't have to like work there. You're doing too much, do less.
And yet by doing too much, they are doing less, you know, somehow. Like so Dunk wins. It feels very anticlimactic. We get a little bit of reaction from the small folk.
which
Uh
was
which was
refreshing.
nice. I liked that. My
Yeah.
eyes liked it. My
Yeah.
soul liked it. Um we do
Yeah.
get some reaction from the small folk. I think they're also saying up or get up.
They were yelling up to him, like, and that was one thing that, again, like, I think it would have been, they would have benefited from doing more with small folk support for Dunk as a
Mhm.
build up to that moment of
Yeah.
Egg and the small folk sort of like rallying around Dunk,
Mhm.
and then Arlen, Egg, small
Mhm.
folk, like, and it all
Yeah.
coalesces into him getting up and then winning, right? Like,
Right.
that would have been, yeah,
That would have
that,
been great.
yeah.
Alas. There's another universe where that happened, you know. There's a different timeline.
There's
We're just not we're not in that timeline right now.
so yeah, so Dunk wins the Trial of Seven by Arion withdrawing his accusation.
And then everyone goes to the locker room. And I'm a little confused. Did they do that in the books?
Well, it's sort of it's sort of implied that time passes
Mm-hmm.
in the books, where like the scene ends with
Mm-hmm.
Arion withdrawing his accusation, and then it's like cut to we're in the locker room. And by that I
Yeah.
mean, like, people are having their wounds tended to, because there's obviously a bunch of people who are like,
Oh, I guess they are in the locker room in the book. Yeah, they do. They go elsewhere.
yeah,
They're not on the field.
but
I had imagined that as on the field. That's my bad.
but no, I mean so Dunk, I mean, if you take into account every single one of his wounds, like, they would have been like, well, you're dead, so
Yeah. And Stilly Pate is there, and he's like, "I'll pour boiling oil on you," and Prince Baelor's like, "Don't do that."
yeah. Which that is in the book too, where they're like, the maesters pour boiling oil on it, like,
I was like, no. Oh, yikes. Big yikes. No, don't do that.
Baelor wanders in, and
Mhm.
now here's the thing. That helm
Mhm.
that he has, the helm that because Raymond notices that something's wrong, because Baelor says to him, like, visor's cracked on my helm. There is no
Mhm.
fucking visor.
Right. Yeah.
But last episode, there was one.
Was there? I don't remember.
Because his whole face is covered when he rides up to Dunk, and then he takes his helmet off to be like, it's
Oh, that's right. So the
I was
visor.
like, is this a
It is.
different, he's wearing like a different helmet? Because it's not like,
No.
oh, the visor got like knocked off. There's a nose piece on this helm. Like,
Episode 4 helmet. Let's find
and
it.
I was so confused. Like, I was just genuinely confused.
I'm looking for pictures to see if I can find one. Oh, they keep out. There's pictures of him without the helmet on. No, but you're right, because his face was fully covered.
And then in this one, like, his face is not covered at all.
Right, you can clearly see who it is. Oh, I'll have to go back and check.
Did he get the helm? Like, when he said,
or is he right?
Cracked,
is he right? The visor was cracked off. Like, yeah,
like fully knocked off, and he should have a visor. But the construction of the helm, if I'm not mistaken, I thought he had like a nose piece on this one, which I'm like, okay, you wouldn't have one of those if there was a visor. But
I thought the point of the line in that context was supposed to be that Raymond was like, he's saying weird shit.
Are you okay, dude? There's no visor here. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah.
No, I think that was the point of the line, is like, oh, my visor's cracked, and Raymond's like, is this guy fucking high? What, like,
right?
And it is that moment of like, and you know, I do think the performance delivered was quite good too, because he's like, it reads as like everybody's fucking exhausted. You know, Arion was exhausted, Dunk's beat to shit and exhausted. Like, everybody's like, nobody is doing well.
Yeah.
Because they, you know, get in a suit of armor and swing a sword around for 2 minutes, I guarantee you'd be like sucking wind.
Yeah.
So they're all beat down. I do think that the performance delivered here was good because it's like it doesn't read as necessarily off. It reads as like exhausted.
Mhm.
And then it does slowly introduce the like, uh-oh, something is not right here.
Yeah.
And now we talked about this moment of removing Baelor's helm as a big one in terms of its depiction. How did you feel that they executed in terms of that moment?
Well, last week I said, I hope they don't show it to us directly. They did. And if it had been not in the same episode where we had so much other gore, I think it would have maybe been a little bit more effective. But we actually saw it we saw it less on screen than we saw Rafe bleeding out on the ground.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Got random redshirt Rafe with her throat cut open, and we saw the wound inflicted, and we saw her bleed out on the ground in Flea Bottom for much longer than we got to see the back of Baelor's head. It was definitely a shocking image. It vaguely reminded me of something. It was like there's a similar image in The Sixth Sense where I think there's a child ghost or something where like the head is partially blown off, and there's one of those like it cuts away and it cuts to the ghost. You see the head blown off, and then it cuts. So it's something along those lines where it's like the back of the head is gone.
Yeah.
So it definitely had like a shock value to it. It is not my biggest complaint in the episode. I don't hate it. That is one way to do it. I do miss that we didn't get the squishy brains falling out of the head though, because that's one of my favorites is that like stuff falls out.
Yeah.
Because like just that's like the real horror of it is like that, like it really can't be fixed.
Right.
Here it comes. Pate lifted the battered helm away. Gods be good. Oh, gods of gods preserve. Dunk saw something red and wet fall out of the helm. Someone was screaming high and terrible. Against the bleak gray sky swayed a tall prince in black armor with only half a skull. He could see red blood and pale bone beneath, and something else, something blue-gray and pulpy. A queer, troubled look passed across Breakspeare's face like a cloud passing over the sun. He raised his hand and touched the back of his head with 2 fingers, oh so lightly, and then he fell. So, I mean, they portrayed it pretty well, but for the brains falling.
Yeah, I think I think overall it was pretty good in terms of the like what's wrong. Like for somebody not knowing what's about to happen, I did think that it was good in terms of like what, and then the like back of the head, and then he like turns and it shows the wound. I think I think overall like it was effective. And again, I just like it really felt like I was so taken out of it by like everything that had happened up to that point.
Yeah.
That it just made that moment feel like less impactful, which is just such a shame because it's one of those that it should feel like such a shock, right? Like it just should feel more weighty than it did. And to me, all the ingredients were there, right, to like make it hit. And they didn't even take sort of the easy way, which would have just been giving Baelor some kind of like monologue at the beginning of the episode that wasn't just like a don't die speech, right? Like they could have just given him something with Dunk one-on-one to say like, and especially like with the whole like I'm your man, like him, we didn't get to see Dunk reacting to, because like I know it's not in the book necessarily, but Dunk doesn't have a conversation with Baelor about like, what are you doing here? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that would have been an even interesting conversation to have of like, let Dunk be like, your grace, like I can't let you do this.
Right.
Like, this
And
is crazy.
Baylor being like, I can't let you do this without me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
you're our true knight. Yeah.
yeah. And I don't know. It just,
If I had
it just weakened it.
been shown the Baylor death scene in isolation, I think I would have liked it. I
Right.
think the problem I had was that by that point in time in the episode, I was so mad by everything that had happened that I couldn't even focus on it because I was like, I can't wait to go online and complain about the rest of this. Like, and I wonder if like going back and rewatching and just skipping the flashback bit, like just watching the little bit in the beginning and then just watching the second half, if it feels different to watch it that way. Because the episode does not require, I mean, that's another thing that shows the flashback as a weak point. You could literally excise it and nothing would change.
Right.
So
there's something about I think like in terms of, you know, issues with the episode, like the pacing, number one, but then like the actual content of the flashback is like 1A, right? In terms of like, that's the big issue is like the content of the flashback is like not additive to the episode, or to the story as a whole.
In fact, it subtracts.
It subtracts. And then and then I would say, you know, in terms of order, like gripe number 2 for me was just like, I just didn't particularly think that the construction of the actual fight sequence was as good as it could have been. Like, I just think they could have done different stuff than what they chose to do. And it's not to say that the action was particularly bad or anything like that. It just felt like at a certain point, it's like, hey, we all know that Dunk lives, right? So like, stabbing him more is not gonna.
Well, one thing I was actually thinking during it was that people that don't know the story, because this is a Game of Thrones show, might think, you know, oh, it's a one-off season, it's a short one-off season, like,
and they're
maybe
killing Ned Stark.
He just dies, you know, and the world is bad and you should feel bad. We're so dark and edgy. So it is possible that there are viewers out there who don't know Dunk.
And I wouldn't have blamed him for thinking he was dead, given that he got stabbed
5 billion times.
5 billion times. Each additional time he got stabbed, I was like, surely this is the last one.
I know, it just kept happening.
And then it's like, nope, he's gonna get stabbed a bunch more. And I also one minor gripe is that like in the book, it's a whole thing when Aerion grabs for his dagger, because Dunk spots it and pins his wrist to the ground and like fucking wrenches the dagger out of his hand, right? Like, where it's like a whole. And that was where I think one thing that they really could have used a little bit, just in terms of like giving Dunk a little bit more credit, is like everything felt sort of reliant on this like rage or whatever, like, and him going to this, he needed to go to flashback land in order to find the motivation to like beat Aerion.
Yeah.
But I do think that they needed to emphasize like I don't necessarily think that it landed like just how much of a like physical mismatch this is. Like, when it comes right down to it, Dunk is just straight up way stronger, way bigger. Like, there is no, like, Aerion just is completely, at a certain point, he's completely subdued because he physically cannot get this big motherfucker off of him.
Yeah.
And like the fact that he successfully draws his dagger and sort of overpowers Dunk like back into a sword fight and all this stuff after originally being sort of beat to the ground, that to me was like, I was like, it kind of undercuts the whole idea of this, that like Dunk is a street fighter, like he's had to survive, and that's why. So a guy pulling a knife, that's like street fighting 101.
Right,
like,
exactly.
I know, obviously, if you're pinned under me, the first thing you're gonna do is pull a knife. So like, so the fact that like all of that, and I think doing Dunk, the Dunk keel over kind of like death misdirect or whatever, like to me that went on for too long as well. I just think like I think the idea again, like it would have been nice to have, if you're going to do flashbacks, do the flashbacks like in the moment of like the get ups or the get up boy and like the all of that to spur him back on. But it just, when he's just lying there, I'm like, surely Arion would just go finish the job.
Yeah, right? Arion should have double tapped at that point.
Yeah, like Arion is like proven
classic Oberyn Martell mistake. You know, don't double tap
never
circling the enemy.
Never assume the big guy is dead, before you're sure. So I just, there's a lot of stuff where I was kind of like, and maybe I'm being a little too nitpicky, and maybe that is more dramatic and more fun or whatever, and I'm just being nitpicky about the realism of it. But I think again, like there was just other stuff you could have done visually, and the story of the fight of Duncan Arion is one of like the resilient, like poor person, physically overpowering the better trained, better equipped, like rich person.
It's almost like
a fight in the mud.
It's almost like it's a metaphor.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe, just spitballing, George R. R. Martin was trying to make the point that like the masses, the larger group of people, the larger person can win over the smaller person or smaller group of people, even if those other people are rich. I feel like maybe that's what we were going for. I agree, and I think I complained about this on a previous episode. It might have been the one that got lost to the ether, to the TikTok gods. I just don't feel like they've done enough visually to make it clear how big Dunk is. Like he does not seem, he's big in comparison to Egg, but he doesn't ever look like really big against other men around him.
Yeah.
And they needed to like Hagrid him up a bit, you know, like he needed to be like unnecessarily large to make this point. But it's like you put and the guy himself is like in real life is huge, but like Dunk is like a fictional character. Like he should be like crazy huge.
The only person who successfully made him look big is Lionel Baratheon, which I'm like, that's not who I want to make Dunk look big. Like I want Lionel Baratheon to also be physically imposing.
Right.
But no, they were like, oh, well, Dunk bumped into like 2 doorposts in the first episode, so we have established that he is tall, and we don't have to do anything else about establishing that he is tall and big.
But like, especially even like horse-wise, for example, one thing that makes it really obvious that he's not like egregiously large is that he's on a regular horse.
Yeah.
And if you could do this a couple of ways, you could, put your actor who is large on a slightly smaller horse,
right?
And visually, then he looks big.
Yeah,
and he looks like he's too big for that horse. And I mean, like, there's just ways they could have done it where, and I agree, he looked too evenly matched against Arion. And they're not. The point is that they're not. I mean, the reason Arion wanted to fucking Trial of 7 in the first place because he was afraid to fight the giant guy.
Yeah.
You know? In the same way,
who is not 24 hours removed from beating the absolute shit out of him.
Right. And however they did it with the mountain, like they did a pretty good job in the Bad Show, making the mountain just like the giantest beefcake you've ever seen.
They just had to hire a guy who's not an actor.
It was like literally the giantest beefcake you've ever seen.
They're like, we went to Iceland. We carved this guy out of the side of a mountain.
We went to Iceland and said, who here has been hulking their whole life? Come on, come with us.
World's strongest man or whatever.
Yeah. So I do think that's that they sort of lost the plot a bit, like quite literally lost the plot with the fight. And the fact that like the way Dunk wins is because he's not noble. Like that's why he's able to win this fight. If he was like nobly trained and like had like sword fighting, like he still wouldn't be as good as a Targaryen prince, right? He'd get his shit rocked. But he wins this because he's Dunk of Fleabottom. And that's the whole fucking point. And
they also didn't make like a big deal out of the fact that the shield that they made such a big thing of in the first episode literally gets obliterated.
It's like there's a quick shot of it at the end when he's
Yeah.
leaving the field up from above.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed it, but that's it. Yeah.
But they made less of a deal of it. And the whole reason that he ends up having to rock Arion with his is because his is broken.
Yeah.
So anyways, I did like he did the whole he drags Arion by his foot to the
yeah,
like
and then Arion says I yield, and everyone in the crowd goes, "What?"
Yeah. Huh?
Huh?
But yeah. And then Baylor Breakspear dies, and
Did they call him Baylor Breakspear in the show at all?
I don't know if they
No,
did.
I don't think they did.
Huh.
They don't.
I also don't like
I've been tracking that per episode.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I love Baylor Breakspear. What a
that's
badass name.
Yeah, because he's like badass and can do violence and is really good to have on your team.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine what they're going to do next episode. The conversation with Makar.
Conversation with Makar. Conversation with Valar, which is going to be really weird because they didn't really see. And this is the other thing where I'm like, is this show literally only going to make sense as a binge watch? Because like they barely established that Valar exists, right? Like they have Arion interact with him, but I don't think he says his name. Like I think his name is said in other contexts. I think he calls him cousin.
Yeah.
He just calls him cousin. Because he rides up to challenge Humphrey Harding and then says like, oh, don't worry, I'm not going to challenge you, cousin. What I think is going to happen, and again, this gives, I would say, further credence to the idea that these episodes are cut very weird and are shortened. Like Valar, I can almost guarantee that there's going to be a scene between Dunk and Valar where it's going to be like, my father was wearing my armor because he didn't have his or whatever, and the helm was like it didn't exactly fit or blah blah blah. And it's like, this is all shit that you should have established, right? Like why isn't any of this already established? Of, is it only going to make sense when you watch it as a binge? And is it like, oh well, wait, we take care of that in the next episode? It's like, okay, but it needs to make sense when the episode airs, right? Like or people need to know like who these people are. That to me,
Valar,
like,
the Valar issue, either they just don't do it. They just don't have Dunk talk to Valar, which they
might
could
not.
just.
They might not.
Valar's not a character in this show.
He appears, but he is not a character.
Yeah, well, and spoilers, like if they continue and make the next season of the next, not really spoilers, but like Valar is also not in the next season of the show if they continue. So it's kind of one of those, like they don't really have to establish him. And I don't know how much a casual viewer cares about the Targaryen dynasty and who takes over next, you know? So, I mean, they could just cut that. You know, they could just not have Dunk talk to Valar, maybe have another flashback and then just kind of call it a day. But I guess we'll have the conversation with Makar.
You'll have the conversation with Makar.
I would like them to, HBO, I know it's already filmed and stuff, and you know, I would like you to just read what's on the page and put it on the screen.
Yeah.
That is your job. Page, screen. Page, screen. There's been this, like, have you followed any of this dialogue about Wuthering Heights that's been happening?
I like tangentially, only as it relates to, I saw someone say that like Wuthering Heights this Wuthering Heights movie is the poster child for the literacy crisis in America.
That does seem to be the case. So I say this as someone who's never read Wuthering Heights, though I probably will because I want to go see the movie so I can read it and be part of this book snobbery.
Yeah.
This is just my natural state. But Wuthering Heights is the new movie that's come out is like a very bad adaptation of the books. Apparently, it's just like it's like awful. Like it's wrong on so many like so many levels that it's just incorrect.
Sure.
And I'm like, if you're gonna like, if you want to just write your own movie or your own show, like if you want to write your own show about jousting knights and stuff like
Yeah.
that, like just do that. You don't
Right.
have to call it, you know, Game of Thrones or whatever. Like you want to make a movie that's about like a romance on the moors somewhere with pretty dresses, like people will go see it. People like that. You don't have to call it Wuthering Heights.
Yeah.
And
Look at Downton Abbey. Like that became
yeah,
a whole popular TV show off of no, you know,
right, exactly.
it's just an IP. It's not like a doesn't
Right.
have to be a book.
Right. So like people have been debating like what's the difference between like an adaptation and what else are they saying? Like a oh, it's adaptation is one and I can't remember the other word, but they've been debating like what does it mean like to adapt something to the screen? And I'm like, you should be trying to make it as true to the source material as possible. And if you're doing things that are fundamentally changing that, then I question your literacy skills. Yeah. You know, I question this show and HBO reading this book and thinking they must provide the viewer with a tragic backstory because what? Because we're too fucking stupid to care about Dunk, the character we've been following for 6 episodes at this point, and we need a like a tragic backstory to realize
Yeah.
like I don't understand what I do question their literacy. I'm like, how many times have you read it? Like I personally, my pet theory about the bad show is that D&D did not in fact read A Feast for Crows or Dance with Dragons.
Oh yeah, no, they
I think they read books 1, 2, and maybe 3, but I don't think they ever got through the rest.
Yeah, three for sure because they got to the Red Wedding and then they were like,
yeah, that's
sick.
what it is. They got to
This is
so
sick.
surprising. I was surprised reading it because I don't know what foreshadowing is.
Yeah.
So we're all gonna be surprised.
I'm sorry, you weren't filled with a sense of complete dread at every Catelyn chapter where she's like talking about all of the phrase like saying weird shit to them.
Mm-hmm. Weird.
I was so unnerved the entire time where I'm just like, something bad is going to happen. And then something bad happened.
Something bad happened.
Now, it was worse than what I thought was going to happen.
Hmm.
Right? Like, I didn't think wholesale massacre. I thought arrest, maybe some kind of like whatever.
Some kind of betrayal, yes.
Betrayal. That's so the degree of, you know, bad is like the shock.
Yeah.
Of like, oh no, they've planned our murder.
Yeah. Our whole house being murdered. Whoops.
Yeah. But yeah, they got that far and then they were like, this is gonna be cool on TV.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in any of the other stuff in these subsequent books.
Yeah, so I think that maybe over at HBO they do like they have like a one read through rule. Like you read that story once and then you write a script. And that's what they did. And House of the Dragon was like I loved season 1 of House of the Dragon, and I've softened on season 2, but alas. Wait, we have a couple things in the chat. What's the Dexter slip? I saw slip. What did he slip about this time?
So it seems like Dexter Ansel, who plays Egg,
who we love, protect this child.
Him and Peter Claffey were on a talk show, and it is kind of a hilarious clip because they're doing like sock puppets or something like that. Like they're like making hand puppets on this talk show, doing press for Another of the Seven Kingdoms, and they got asked a question essentially about like what happens like to your character, like do you know like what happens down the road or whatever. And they're like, well, George has talked to us about blah blah blah, and Dexter is like, well, we know that Dunk, like there's Summerhall, which some people will know what that is, but like we know that George told us that like Dunk lives like survived Summerhall, which was new information. Now the thing is, I think that people are, well, one, overreacting to this news because they know that people will like click on it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like where it's like, our friend Holly Bean actually made a very good video right in the aftermath of like a Song of Ice and Fire YouTubers celebrating because now they get to drop like new theories,
Yes.
like thinking they would run out, but now they get to drop new theories because
I
Dunk
saw
survives
someone. I saw someone be like a new possibility for cold hands.
So that was that was Holly Bean too, and I literally commented. I was like, if Cold Hands is Dunk, I'm going to George's house. Like he's gonna get a personal visit. No, so anyways, like I would say that it's been a little bit overblown. One, because this is a child on a press tour, right? Talking about spoilers of books that have not been written yet, and like let's be so clear, are not close to being written.
Yeah.
Like the 12th Dunk and Egg book, if that is Summer Hall or whatever, there are 3 right now as we speak. The first one was written in the 90s.
Yeah.
There are 3 of them. So please, everybody, just like take a deep breath. And like the knock-on effect of like, why would Dunk survive Summer Hall? Like there's a bunch of reasons, right? Like, so I do think that it's like, it's funny that people have latched onto it. So confirmation that Dunk survived Summer Hall. It's like,
I mean,
this book is like legitimately,
well, a few things. One,
so far away from ever existing, if it ever does.
First of all, so one thing is like you're saying it's coming from a child. I would like to highlight that it's very possible that George R. R. Martin would lie to this child about the outcome of the characters. So this particular child actor has not watched a Game of Thrones. He's a child. He's it's not appropriate.
I would hope not.
Yeah. And
I hope no one, child or not, I hope no one who hasn't seen it needs to like, they don't need to watch it.
It's a bad show. I mean, he's even given interviews where he like adamantly is like, I do not like cursing and I only curse because it's my job, but I don't like when people curse, which is like exactly how I was at that age. Like I was a little asshole about that too. But like, that's like, he's like very, like he's a child. Yeah. And I could 100% see George R. R. Martin just like straight up lying to this kid so that the kid isn't sad like that. Yeah. 2, I don't know why, but I thought we already knew that Dunk survived Summer Hall. So when I heard this, I was like, isn't this already? I was like a little confused that people were surprised.
Well, I think it was one of those where people may have been, and maybe it was theory, or maybe it was specifically like, we don't know for sure that Dunk died. Like we know Egg dies, but we don't know. It's not like explicitly been said anywhere that that Dunk dies. So like, what if?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of ways he could have survived.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that honestly, like, I know everybody is like, by that time it's like, oh, it's Aegon the Fifth or whatever, you know, by Summer Hall, and oh, he like went crazy and burned down Summer Hall because he wanted dragons back or whatever. And it's like, I don't know if anyone is grappling with the idea of what Dunk would go through, the character Dunk would be going through if when Egg dies at that point. Do you know? I mean, does anyone actually want to deep dive that? Because I don't.
No.
Like, that is deeply sad. That is like crazy. So people are like, oh my God, like, what does this mean for the series? I'm like, the child that followed him to Ashford Meadow dies in a roaring fire along with most of his family. Dunk's not doing well. Whatever it wouldn't shock me if he's Cold Hands, because if he just wandered north and just kept walking, just fucking gets eaten by zombies. Where he's just like, yeah, fucking take me. That's fine. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Oh man, I will say regarding Cold Hands, for anybody that's curious about my pet theory about Cold Hands, I think he's just some guy. I think he's just a convenient corpse that is like a meat puppet that is not alive and is not a particular person. So I know there's lots of theories about who he is and if he's special or whatever. The only person that would make sense for him to be would be Benjen, but Bran would recognize him, and he doesn't. So
yeah,
I think there's a lot more meaning to the fact that he is anonymous, that he is
Right.
He is no one and everyone at once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and who knows what kind of weird stuff Bloodraven's getting up to, but
Yeah, he's fucking sitting in a tree all day. Got bored as shit.
yeah.
He's gotta get some stuff. I too would play with my dolls if I was sitting in a tree all day.
Well,
so all of that to say, okay, we talked for 2 hours about a 40-minute piece of
I know.
media.
We spent close to an hour just on the flashback, so
Someone has to go to prison, or just jail, just
And I'm-
regular jail, regular weekend jail. I just need
and
to
I'm
see
in
someone.
I'm a prison abolitionist, and I think someone should go to prison for this.
Yeah, same. I think we should destroy the carceral system, except we should keep it for this circumstance.
For this sort of thing, and not like an actual suffering incarceration. Just literally, like, you need to be in social timeout, like societal timeout.
You need to sit there and think about what you've done.
You need to take a good hard long look in the mirror.
I want a 5-page essay, single spaced, about themes. That's what I want.
I will not manipulate Dunk's backstory.
Just over and over.
Over and over again. Actually, I'm gonna steal your thunder slightly, because
Okay.
Belak has been talking for the last few episodes about new chapters of her book dropping, and new chapters of her book be dropping.
It's very kind of you to call it a book when it is unfinished and unpublished. That's
Well,
very nice.
Whatever. New chapters of the story that you are telling.
Of my zombie story. It is zombies. It's full of zombies. I actually started also writing another new story today because I have no self-control, but alas, here we are. Yes, I did. But wait, before that, can I tell people about the play that I saw?
Oh, yes. Please do.
So you guys can see here. I went to see The Other Place with Emma Darcy. It was awesome. I'm sure there are still tickets left. I think it runs till like March. It's in New York City. Top tier quality acting, interesting production, and everything like that. All that's to say, if I had a nickel for every time Emma Darcy played a character who ended up kissing her uncle, I would have 2 nickels. It's not a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
It happened twice. That actually is that is weird. I did not realize this also has uncle kissing in it.
I didn't realize it either until it was happening, and I was like, again? Are they being typecast at this point? What is this?
That's so funny.
The other thing is, this here little pamphlet from the play describes that basically the way this play came to be was that the writer is friends with Emma and Tobias, who played Edmure Tully in Game of Thrones, and like lots of other things. And basically the 3 of them were like, damn, it would be cool if we could do a play together. And the playwright said, hold my fucking beer.
That's awesome.
And so like wrote it for them, and it was great.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And just to answer chat, I have been writing a zombie story. The first 10 chapters are on my Substack. If you go to my TikTok, which is Belock, Belock, the link tree in my TikTok has a link to my Substack. The first 10 chapters are there. If you enjoy the first 10 chapters, or if you hate them and you want to like really critique them, which is totally fine, you can email me for the remaining chapters. I think what did I send out? Chapters, I'm up to 17. You guys have 16 and 17
17. 16 and 17 was the last
batch that just went out. Yeah. And I think it'll be 25-ish for this. This is the very first draft. So she's rough. She's rough. It's rough, buddy. That's where we're at, but that's okay, because that's first draft is rough, and then second draft is also rough, and then 10th draft is readable. It's fine.
I still have to read these 2 because I think I just sent them out like Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
And this weekend we were actually in Detroit because we took my daughter to Disney on Ice.
Oh, that's so cool.
Which I will say, with the Winter Olympics going on, I am a little bit like, I don't know anything about figure skating.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that, like, I don't know what it, like, where on the level the figure skaters involved in Disney on Ice are, right? Like, I know obviously Olympians.
Mm-hmm.
Then I assume there are like professional tiers of people who skate and are not Olympians.
Mm-hmm.
And then I assume it's like show folks, probably.
Uh-huh.
These people were unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
I was like, what's going, how are they not in the Olympics? They are going
Yeah.
off of ramps on ice
Oh
skates
geez.
and doing like flips and stuff. Kristoff from Frozen is doing like backflips. And then you have Prince Eric and Ariel doing some kind of like they're literally like ice skating, and then they're like suspending from these things and like flying up into the.
Oh my god.
It wasn't like harnesses. It was like they were like wrapping their arms around these like cords essentially, and like then flying up, and they're both flying up, and Ariel's only hanging on to him at one point with no harness. I was just like, the thing was crazy. It was crazy. It was like Cirque du Soleil. It was insane.
I was gonna say it sounds like Cirque du Soleil level, like acrobatics and stuff.
It was Cirque du Soleil on ice, but Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and there's a giant Maui from Moana fighting the like volcano monster or whatever.
So is it like music and?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's like, it's clearly all, yeah, it's obviously all like all of the voice stuff is like pre-recorded, and then they are like acting it out or whatever. Like, but yeah, they have different routines. There's a ton of like projections, there's pyrotechnics, there's like and kids are just going nuts. Corinne just sat there, like, she is a very like, she's not one to be like going crazy or anything like that, but she just like sat there like grinning the whole time. Like, she was just like really so and she yeah, she now also has a foam Lilo or no Stitch hat from Lilo and Stitch that it came with cotton candy. It was a free hat with a $20 cotton candy. It's just like
with a free hat.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, so we were up in Detroit, and we also got to take advantage of just like being up in a city, and we got to eat some good food and all of that. But yeah, so now I'll get to sink into the new chapters. But
oh yeah, take your time. There's no rush. I am almost finished with chapter 18, I must say. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, people can find me still on TikTok mostly.
Yay.
And here. And yeah, I will say, if you're like, what did you guys think of the scene from the book at any given point of the Hedge Night? That episode exists. All of those episodes exist because we read the book 10 pages at a time, essentially, and talked about every 10 pages for like an hour to 2 hours. So
we read this book in a very normal way. We have very normal feelings about this book.
Yeah. Yep. So if you're like, what did they say about the Trial of Seven? That episode exists.
And we should go back at some point, maybe when the season is done.
Yeah.
Maybe Holly wants to join us or something. We could have a guest to talk about the season as a whole. But we should go back and see, because we made predictions as we were reading the book about what we thought we'd see in the show. One of my predictions so far has been correct.
Yes.
That Baylor would come out to the Game of Thrones music.
that was insane.
Yeah.
I know I posted that clip, but I was like looking back randomly because of the Baylor breaks. Oh, like, because that scene happened in the show of the like, by God, that's Baylor Breakspears music, which was our like whatever, our pro wrestling version of that. But but then yeah, when you specifically said like the song swells, I'm just like, oh my God, like this literally happened.
Some of it's predictable. I could never have predicted Red Shirt Rafe though. That was a stroke of pure, just unadulterated genius from them. Thank you. Thanks, HBO.
Well, I guess we will be back to talk about the finale and whatever happens there. We'll be back next week to talk about that. And I hope they sweep up some of the shards of whatever they did this episode and put it back together into something.
I'm gonna make predictions. Okay, we'll have Dunk talks to Makar.
Yep.
I think we will have Dunk talks to Valar. It won't make any sense.
I think we have to.
I think we
I
will
just
have
don't know
Dunk
what
Valar.
else they would be doing.
Dunk talks to Egg.
Dunk talks to Egg. Dunk talks to Prostitute, do we think? She randomly was featured like more heavily in this episode where she kind of yells out in support of him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe like if I was gonna pad out an episode that's like it needs to be 30 minutes but only really has 2 scenes, maybe something where the small folk react to him.
Yeah.
Like maybe he's like, oh, and also the funeral. We probably could do the funeral.
They're gonna do the funeral for sure.
Yeah, we probably could do the funeral. But if he's like, say he's like laid up for a few days at least, given the wounds. Yeah. When he's like leaving, like he gets up to go from like wherever he's laid up, maybe like he's like him on the way to the elm tree. Like maybe he walks out into the streets and the small folk like respond.
Yeah.
You know? And
I wonder too,
him or something.
Because they've done stuff tonally with a couple of these scenes. I really hope that they don't do. I hope they don't like make the Makar scene with him like really mad. You know what I mean? Because like Makar's obviously upset with everything that happened, but he's also like melancholy about the whole thing. Like he's not pissed at Dunk. Like
he's outwardly blaming himself for Baelor's death.
Right. But it doesn't read as like where I could see them doing it as this more, because they've done this with a couple of scenes where they've made it a little bit more like animatedly angry or like they've just changed the tone of things like slightly from what I read it as in the books. And I just hope the Makar scene lands as sort of like, because the whole conversation doesn't really make sense if Makar is just blind mad about the whole thing.
No, I don't think it can do it that way. I mean, especially if he starts the conversation as is in the book with, I sent Arian to Lys. Right. I said, Arian, you are spending a summer abroad. Go right now. You know, like, no, I think that would be tonally very poor if they did that. In chat, the question is if the small folk were cheering him now, isn't that kind of incoherent? So no, I agree if they were cheering him like happily because the king is dead or the prince is dead, right? But not cheering per se, but like acknowledging, like giving him stuff, helping him with things. Maybe it's like he wakes up after being sick for a long time and they're like, we took care of your horses. You know, we look steely paint cleaned and fixed up your armor, which I think actually doesn't that happen? I forget now in the books if that happens. Egg did thus and such thing for you. The ladies, you know, the prostitute, the sex worker ladies got you something, made you something, you know, whatever the situation is, you know. There's ways that the small folk can express their gratitude to him in a way that's appropriate given the circumstances.
Right. Yeah, without it being the king is dead, long live the king.
Yeah. So
well, that was
what lasted, eh?
It was
HBO striking again.
There's always next week.
There's always next adaptation, yeah.
One of these will be
one of them will hit. One of them will hit. Apparently the next one they're going to work on is Aegon's Conquest, which if anybody wants to know my thoughts on Aegon's Conquest, me and my friend Gretchen do a podcast called House of Fire and Blood, where we do a very close reading of the book Fire and Blood, also like 5 to 10 pages at a time, where we talk for 2 hours. Phil was on, you were on what, 2 episodes with us?
2 episodes,
yeah. You got to come back.
I do. It's been a minute since I've talked about the Targaryens as a standalone topic.
Yeah, and the thing Gretchen and I really uncovered was if you read the text closely, Aegon the Conqueror had like the least to do with the conquest. It was like basically all Visenya and Rhaenys.
Yeah.
And if you read the text closely, the 3 of them were ruling equally. It was not Aegon and his sisters, the front band. it was really the three Targaryens ruling equally, and they were all fine with that because they all had giant dragons. But like,
right,
the Maester has to do it.
the I really I don't know how HBO fumbled this, but I maintain that House of the Dragon, the name of the show House of the Dragon, should be the Fire and Blood adaptation as a whole in a anthology series a la The Crown.
Mm-hmm.
And seasons are different eras of, right? Like each season is a different, but you don't start it at the Conquest, and you never do the Conquest because it's the least interesting thing.
Yeah, it's really, the Conquest is not really interesting at all.
You start
really,
season 1 of House of the Dragon with Sons of the Dragon and the whole Maegor, Aenys, Visenya thing, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the most interesting thing. And you can do little Conquest flashbacks and maybe even Rhaenys' death as like a foundational moment of the fracture of between the sons, like, because essentially, like, if it was just, yeah, Aegon's here and Visenya's here and Rhaenys is here, everybody's like one big happy family and it's all good. And the second that it's not one big happy family, like it's not good anymore.
Yeah.
But anyways, that to me, the fact that that's not a thing, and the one character that you keep who is in the whole thing is Archmaester Gildain.
Oh, yes.
And you do the like propaganda, like you do him manipulating the story, right?
And
like,
then you show what's actually happening.
Yeah. And then you go into the actual where it's a little bit page master or whatever of like, now let's go into the book or whatever. But like,
no, I think that's a great way to frame it though, because that's like the whole point of like all of Martin's work is that everything is point of view and everyone's an unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
I think if someone were to pick me up from my house and say like, quick, we're taking you to write a screenplay for something in the A Song of Ice and Fire universe, what would you write? The story of Alyssa Farman. Totally. Not the story of Rhaena Targaryen, she's part of it, but the story of Alyssa Farman and her quest to be Magellan and go off to the west. And where does she disappear to? I don't know. Does she become Quaithe? Possibly. And you call that shit Fair Winds, and you do it in 10 episodes, and that is it. And it is awesome.
It answers the question, where did she go? Far, man.
Hey,
I contend that I think that's what George is doing. George is making like Alyssa Farman being the person who went far. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyways, no, I agree that would hit. So,
but you're right. There are like lots of these little like kind of vignette points that you could do, and like I really like the idea of the framing of like Gildain writing it in the modern time, but then us being shown like what is actually going on. Yeah. So I would. When I'm interested to see if they do adapt the Conquest, which I agree is like the most boring part. They established in House of the Dragon that the Valyrians are not white people. They're not just like the palest Valyrian house. Are not just like, basically George R. R. Martin's elves. Aegon the Conqueror, Aegon, Visenya, and Rhaenys are half Valyrian. Their mother was Valyrian, which is why blood magic and blood purity is bullshit, because it's not from the jump. There is no such thing. There is no such thing. So I'm curious how they cast them.
But I think Feli on Pot of the Seven Kingdoms, like when we had her on as a guest just to talk about the series in general and adaptation, talked about the fact that like Aegon the Conqueror should be mixed. Like if you are establishing that the Valyrians are black, then like Aegon the Conqueror should be mixed.
And they should do that. They should like stick to it. Like you put that in, it's interesting. And like, make it interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes away, because I think like, if you treat it like, hey, there's black people in the show, so you can't be mad at us or whatever. It's like, okay, and like if you are establishing that these like race things exist in the world, you got to stick to it.
Then you got to do it, man. Do it. And
you can't just have it like, oh, and also a white person.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, his dad is black, like, or his mom is black. Like, why is he white?
Exactly.
So,
Uh,
anyways,
yes. So, all of that to say, go.
better
You know,
luck next time.
go. Better luck next time. Going into next week with an open mind. We're gonna rest up.
Yep.
We're gonna rest up. We're gonna stretch. We're gonna
treat our wounds with some boiling oil.
And
we're gonna get back to it.
We're gonna hope they didn't let the intern write the finale. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hope.
Well,
So
I hope everyone has a good week. Hopefully a short week for those who observe President's Day or whatever day it is.
yep.
And yeah, hope everyone has a good short week if it is one. And we'll see you guys next weekend.
All right, bye guys.